no matter where you go, I think there's always going to be a learning curve, two steps backwards, one step forward kind of situation. You're most times moving to a new environment. You're getting in an academic situation that you're unaware of. School is school and baseball is baseball, but when you're used to a certain routine where you're coming from, and now you're immersed in a new routine, in a new place, in a new city, in a new academic, rigorous environment, that's challenging. Young men are doing their own laundry and trying to figure out where they're going to eat. And, they don't have mom and dad harping on them. It's them and their roommate, and so there are a lot of transitional things that go on, that is particularly the first either quarter or semester, whatever the case may be, with young men that come into programs. It's extremely difficult to navigate those things, and then that's not even including the baseball and weightlifting experience. Think the game's slow because you've now been a senior and you've been, the big dog on the porch, and now all of a sudden you're with a bunch of other big dogs, and now all of a sudden your bark isn't so big, and now the terminology or the language of the program seems at times foreign. It's all the same things. It's just presented differently and coached differently and motivated differently. And the speed is different because there are things that are being asked and required of you that you thought you were ready for, but almost inevitably not ready for it. And that speed takes time to catch up with. We've had exit interviews all week. We've got a handful of them tomorrow, which will wrap up our fall session. And a lot of our freshmen, I asked them to self-evaluate, come into your meeting. I'm not going to talk at you. I want you to describe to me your fall, what you did well, what you didn't do well, what you want to do better, what your plan is. How did school go? How was the weight room experience for you? So I asked them to do those things for self-reflection and evaluation. And, credit to our young men, which is also credit to their families, which is important in recruiting as well. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but their ability to articulate their falls as freshmen was pretty dang spot on. We're not done with all of them, but very proud of their self-reflection and their evaluations of kind of what they did and where they're at. And so that part to me was really a good sign of health in our program moving forward. But, you love them up, you recruit them. It's not my recruiting face and then it's my coaching face. You try to be authentic, or at least I do, try to be as authentic as I can. But certainly when you get on the field, there's an expectation and a standard and a demand that you have to hold people accountable to, and also allow for some flexibility and, ability to fail without just totally ramming it down their throats. And some young men are more able to handle those things quicker than others. And so some kind of get the purse string tightened a little longer than others. And that's just kind of a basis of how they're acclimating to those situations. But very difficult for freshmen to come into any program in the country and play and start right away. There's generally a process to those things. So patience is certainly a virtue when it comes to being a freshman. You got to keep plugging away and get acclimated. And certainly if you have the ability to show up for a summer school program prior to school starting as incoming freshmen, you guys have played enough. I think you're not going to get a leg up necessarily by going out and playing in another league in the summer, where you could come in here and get 6 credits, start living in the dorms, get with your new roommate, learn the campus, the city, being for lack of a better description, a dumbed down version of school where there's not 10,000 people on campus all navigating it together. And now you've been through those kinds of things to where that acclimation period is certainly smoother. You've done the weightlifting for a month and a half. You've done the conditioning. So none of that is new when all the returners show up, and now it's weights and conditioning and skill hours and class and food. And they're at least they're not standing at the starting line when the gun goes off, whereas the upperclassmen and the veterans, they're all down. They're like a lap ahead or 2 laps ahead. And, the ability to be able to kind of shorten that curve for those young men is, in my opinion, is really, really valuable. And the years that I've been doing it, when we've had our young men do that first, the acclimation period has been a lot shorter.